Hi there, can't remember if I've done an intro, so if I haven't, I'm Dean, this is Woodwork Journey, and today we're going to be looking at a very affordable Triton TPT125, but instead of doing a review, because it's super old, you can pick these up for pennies more or less on the second-hand market now. We are going to be fitting a helical head given to me by these guys. Now, these guys already make heads for DeWalt and another one. I'll leave all the links down below. But I contacted them and said, how come you don't make a helical head for the Triton TPT125? Because it's a hellishly popular thicknesser. And they said, good idea. So at that point, Find Buy Tools, which is a bit of a strange name for a company to be fair, but Find Buy Tools did make one of these. They did their homework and then realised that it was a good idea. So they've sent me one to try out. Now, hopefully, by the time this video comes out, because it's taken a little bit longer than I would have liked, they'll be in stock on the website, but I'm not entirely sure of the price. I think they're about 300 quid. But the benefit of that, as I said, is the fact that if you've spent 200 and 250 quid on a second-hand planer that is proven and known to be good, you can then use it and then save up your money and get the helical head, which, as I say, for another 300 quid or so is not a small chunk of change, but as we'll see today, it does make quite the difference. This is the only testing that I can really think about doing. So the phone over there is around about just over a metre away from the main body of the machine. And that is reading the current decibel level, albeit slightly out of focus probably. But if I shut up, hopefully you could see that dropping all the way down. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the machine on, and then we're going to plane this bit of oak. I've not got dust extraction set up because I don't want that to interfere with the noise that the actual machine is making, you know, because then if the spiral cutter is quieter, we'll really know about it. So let's get going, shall we? Alrighty, let's get going. That's pretty good. I don't know if it is any louder. I'm only going to know when I edit it. But that's the finish. I don't know if that's going to come out at all, or whether that's too bright or too dark or whatever. But it's lovely and smooth. I have still got the snipe happening, but you know, they're new blades. They don't. It's not changing anything with regards to that. It's the way these machines work, unfortunately. But yeah, the finish that's a usable surface right there. That's ridiculous. To give you an idea of exactly what you're getting, this is the box that it comes in. I'm not going to go a full unboxing, just show you what you get and also what a helical head cutter actually is and how it differs from the normal stuff. And that's, if we open this box, it's quite heavy, it's quite large, findbytool.com on the side there, as you can see. Inside, everything's super well packaged. We've got a card here that tells us stuff. And yeah, all that nonsense is there. And then we've got in here, these are the old bearings that I've taken out of my machine, obviously. But we get the bearings, we get multiple boxes of cutters, and I'll show you those in a second. In this empty space here, I think that's where all the screws were. And we also get a couple of T-headed Allen keys. So we've got a bunch of those going on. When it comes to in here, this box is actually covering this normally, but in here we have the cutters, which look like this, and we've got 4 heads on them, and on the top of them there you might just be able to see that they are all kind of, they've got like a 1, 2, 3 and 4 kind of signifiers on them. And you do get, what have we got here, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, you get 5 spares, which I think is nice, and you get some spare screws to attach them to the head as well, which I also think is nice. So they all come nicely packaged in that. Now under there, that's where you get your naked cutter, if you like, and that's what you attach all of those little square carbide heads to. Now what I will say is don't attach these before you've installed this into your thicknesser. I did do that and it was a bit of a pain in the bum, so I would suggest not doing that. The only reason I say it's a pain in the bum is because it's very easy to cut yourself and all sorts of things, so try not to do that. And it also is harder to get into the actual machine with the heads on it. So yeah, install these after the fact rather than before, which as you'll see is what I've done. Now then, this, as I said, is the old head, and the main difference between this kind of idea is the fact that in here we have singular plain blade, and these are the sort of things that we're kind of used to seeing. You can resharpen them sometimes, although they're a massive pain in the bum to do so, and generally you'll get either 2 or 3 of the blades in a thicknesser. So they normally get sandwiched between this section and the head. So when that rotates, you get a blade, that big thick blade just thumps down on the wood and scoops some off, and then where you go. But this spins so quickly that yeah, that's how it works. Now the thing is, because this blade is just attached in there and you're going to thump down onto the wood, it makes quite a lot of noise. And also, if you get a nick anywhere in this blade, then it makes it a nightmare to use, because if I've got sort of I accidentally got a bit of a nail or something, or a knot here, that could render the entire blade useless if I want the full width of it. So it's not ideal way of doing things, but also because this big lump of metal is thumping down on the wood, that's one of the contributors to the noise and volume you get from most thicknesses. This nut actually comes with the new stuff, however I used the sort of low profile skinny nut that I had. Now I will say that when it comes to using these, they are left-handed threads, as you can see, and to get the nut off you will need an impact driver. I just used my normal impact driver, but I used a 22mm socket, which I did have to go out and buy. Got it from Machine Mart for about £4.85 or something. So yeah, that was the only tool that I had to go out and buy. I didn't have to. I did buy things like circlip removers and all that, but I didn't need them in the end. So you will need a 22mm that you can put on your impact driver, because doing it by hand is virtually impossible. In order to actually get to see the blades, if you were to change them out, you would take off the dust extractor hose, and I will make sure that I leave a link down below for the one that I'm using on this machine currently, although as I think I've said later in the video, I will be doing another video about these because I want to test a different type as well. Once you have the dust chute off, then you've got 2 Allen headed screws which you take out from there, and then you can remove the cover that covers over the blade themselves, and in there, that's where you can see the magic. 10 cutters in 4 rows are installed in this head, and that means we get a nice smooth and much quieter cut every time we use it. And it does mean as well that because we have the 4 positions, you can just rotate the cutter 90 degrees, and that's going to give you essentially a brand new head, and you've got that with all of them. And so that is why we get such a great and quieter cut than the 2 blades. Well, that was one heck of a build and a video. I just had a look at the recording, and it looks like it's at least 10 decibels quieter than with the normal straight blades, which is absolutely amazing. If you're like me and you've got neighbours and all that sort of stuff, all the volume you can save helps. And now this is quieter than my brushed Evolution table saw. It's quieter than my track saws, which are all sort of around about 100, I think, off the top of my head. So yeah, it's made a significant saving. The quality of the finish on it is nuts. I don't think you'd really need to worry about sanding that. You might raise the grain to sand it, but that's perfect. I'm stunned at how nice that is. When it comes to the shavings, they are a little bit different to what we had before. These are the sort of shavings we got. They're all very uniform. They're all pretty small and unlikely to clog your thicknesser, which is good. And these are the shavings we had before. So these are before and thereafter. And I think there's not a huge difference, but there's enough of a difference to mean that this is less likely to clog up your thickness or your dust collection rather than this. So, you know, I think that's pretty good. So as I said, if you've spent 300 odd quid or 200 odd quid on a second-hand TPT125, I think they're only about 350 new these days. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, if you've done that, you may want to upgrade it, because we don't all have the money just to, you know, bang on a massively expensive thicknesser. So now we have an alternative, which is fantastic. So yeah, I will leave details, by the way, for this 3D printed dust extraction thingy and this bit as well down below, so you can look at those. But I am trying out a couple of these, so I'll do another video about those when I get around to it. But yeah, it doesn't sort out snipe. That's just because the way snipe happens is because the rollers lift things up, and rather than hitting the wood and then go off like that, it tends to go oh like that. That's kind of what happens with these thicknesses, because there is always a little bit of play in there. So it's nowhere near as hard as I expected to replace the blades. However, it took me an awfully long time because I didn't have the tools and I didn't have the experience of knowing what I was doing. So essentially, you do need a 22mm socket for an impact driver. You saw that I used that and stuck a bit of wood inside the machine, and that stopped the old blade from turning and the new blade from turning when I took them off and tightened them up, and that worked absolutely fine. So I know that I had a comment on a forum at one point of kind of, well, they're just cheap machines, they're not meant to have these kind of fancy new heads on them, and so you probably won't be able to change it out. And I say, no, make sure that you really look into things, because I could have just said, well, it is what it is, and then I've just got to deal with it until one day I can hopefully save up 700-800 quid that I can blow in one one time on something like this, or I could do what exactly I did and just kind of keep persevering to try and find something. So what I would like to do is thank Find Buy Tools. They definitely need a different name on their website, but Find Buy Tools, I will leave all the links down below. I don't know if it's an affiliate link or not, but I'll leave the link down below. And I am so made up with this. I think this has been a fantastic, absolutely superb upgrade for this really old machine that I've had for years and that I bought second hand. So yeah, do leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think. Thanks very much. I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.